Hello, my friends. It's Ranger Russ from the Meigs Nature Center. Have another program to do today. But first of all, please come out and visit Connecticut state parks, even on a day like today. Now, if the roads are bad, don't bother coming out. Most of the time, the parks are not going to open their gates if we've got lots of snow on the ground and ice. But today, at least along the shore, I don't know what it's looking like inland right now. The snow is melting as soon as it hits the ground. It's absolutely gorgeous out there. Flurries of snow everywhere. Some beautiful landscapes to look at. And still migratory birds. This morning I saw a northern harrier hovering above the marsh. I tried to get a picture, but it banked away too quickly. And then I also saw tree swallows. The tree swallows are still here. Not a large flock. Just a few of them, but we still have lots of birds who will be migrating through Connecticut. So get out into our open spaces. There are no Connecticut resident more than 15 minutes from a park. So get out there and enjoy Connecticut state parks because they're beautiful at any time of the year and they're open all year round. So take advantage of that. Now, I'm going to remind everybody to please put up where you're messaging from. I already see some people saying good morning. I think I saw Michigan go by. So good morning to all of you. Now, saying that somebody is not getting sound. It looks like I'm plugged in, so we should have sound. Hopefully this is good. So I want to also let everybody know that I'm asking everyone to please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm working our way towards 1,000 subscribers. So subscribe to our YouTube channel, Meigs Point Nature Center. And you can continue to watch these videos live on Facebook on the Meigs Point Nature Center Facebook page. And also if you visit meigspointnaturecenter.org and the Virtual Learning Center, not only will you see these videos and other educational information, but you will get other information from Connecticut DEEP. You can learn things and it will connect you to Dinosaur State Park, Kellogg Environmental Center, the Goodwin Conservation Center. You can learn about No Child Left Inside and the Great Park Pursuit and Sky's the Limit. If anybody wants to get out and get some hiking, you can get some good hikes in off of Sky's the Limit. Now, today's program is another one of my favorite animals, okay? And I like to do sort of a quiz where you guess what the animal is as I do my favorite animal. And perhaps I should explain that I have many favorite animals, and the best description I've heard so far of my favorite animal is it's the animal that you're learning about on that day, because it is most intriguing when you find something new about an animal or anything in the environment. I'm always looking to learn something new. So let's start out with the track. So those of you that are trackers are going to pick this up pretty quickly. So let's see what we've got here. See how many people jump right on that. There we go. Is it there we go. Good focus there. So this is our animal track. If you've seen our tracking program, which you can view at meigspointnaturecenter.org in the Virtual Learning Center, you'll know quickly what the track is. And I see somebody's already got it. It is, I'm not going to say. We're going to keep on going, let other people continue to guess. The next thing we're going to look at is the skull. Okay, it's a big skull. Look how big that skull is. It's about the same size as my head. Long ways anyway. All right, so this is our skull. Look at these teeth. Tells you what type of animal this is, right? It's going to be a predator. Okay. Look at this ridge here. That can tell you a lot about a skull. Okay, a lot about an animal by the skull. Look at that ridge. This ridge are where the muscles attach to the jaw. So they go across here. This gives you an idea of bite force and strength and power behind a bite. Okay? So I think that if you go back and look at my possum video, the ridge on the possum is the biggest of any animal that I know of in North America. Okay, it's got a giant ridge there. They have so many muscles that attach. They've got such powerful jaws. This is not a possum, though. Let's look at the next thing. This is the coolest. Oh, look at this. It's gigantic. All right. So we can see here's the head. Got the tag there. And then we move along the body. You can look at, there's a paw. And working our way around to the tail. Okay. So most of you now know what this is. And I think Susan was the first to get it right. That's going to give it away right there. It is the wolf. Okay. Now, there are 41 odd species of canines in the wild. This is the largest of those. These can reach 176 pounds. Quite a bit more than I weigh. So 50 to 170 pounds, that's the pretty good range. About 51 inches long, so it's a long animal as well. Now, all of the programs that I've done in the past have all been animals that you can find in Connecticut. This is an exception to that rule. You can no longer find wolves in Connecticut, but wolves were in the range in Connecticut. This was part of their range. So we call them extirpated. So there are no longer wolves found in Connecticut, unfortunately. Legend has it that Israel Putnam, and I did a program on Putnam Memorial, so we talked about him, was the last person to kill a wolf in the state of Connecticut, and that was 1740 or 1744, don't remember which year. But the 1740s was the last wolf known in Connecticut. That's a long time ago. So it's been a long time since we've had wolves in Connecticut. Now, I've been planning this program for a while, but it's kind of appropriate today because yesterday the federal government removed the wolf from the protections of the Endangered Species Act. This is a debatable thing. I'm not going to say whether I don't want to get into the politics of whether a wolf should be on the endangered species list or not. There are nowhere near the number of wolves that there used to be across the country. Much of their range is they are still considered extirpated from. And I would say we need more wolves across. I would like to have wolves in Connecticut. I know many people wouldn't. And that is a problem. Many farmers across the country think that wolves are going to deplete their populations. Hunters also have a problem with having wolves because this is an apex predator. That's a top predator, okay? And again, look at how large it is. Powerful jaws, great big teeth. They hunt in packs, so they're able to take down oxen or musk ox, reindeer, deer, moose. These are going for some big animals. And hunters feel that this is going to deplete their chance of getting one of these prey items. Okay? Now it does reduce the chance a little bit because wolves do eat them. But what the wolf does is it eliminates the sick and the weak and the old, and it increases the strength of the gene pool. So each time that a wolf takes down the weaker members of a herd of these animals, many of them are herd animals, except the moose, but each time it takes down the weakest of these, it's going to strengthen the overall population. Hunters should like that. an example from my ecology classes in college. There was a reserve. It's a hunting reserve in Texas. And they went in, and what they did is they hunted the sick and the weak. They hunted those out of the herd. And that way, when hunters would pay to hunt their property, they were getting much more healthy animals. And each time an unhealthy one showed up, that was the first one that was hunted to try and keep a very strong gene pool. That hunting reserve makes more money, and I don't know if they still do, but they were making more money than any other hunting reserve because they had the best trophy animals. A wolf is going to help that naturally. It's going to eliminate the sick and the weak, and it's going to make it a better product for hunters. Now, I'm not a hunter, but for hunters, they should want wolves to be out there. And eventually, if we get enough wolves, maybe they would be able to hunt a wolf. Although now that they're not protected, unfortunately, that does mean that hunters can shoot them without any regulation whatsoever, which is unfortunate to me. I have a feeling that they might be going back on the endangered species list if people keep on hunting them the way that they used to. Now, they have lost some of their territory, some of their range. They're not as adaptable as coyotes, and coyotes are known to live in cities, in rural areas, in urban areas. They can live in all of them. A wolf is going to be much more in the rural communities. It's not going to be moving into cities. But their habitat, their range of habitat is everything from the Arctic to deep forests. They can live in arid, semi-arid areas. So that's the fringes of deserts. Anywhere across North America was traditionally their range. There were a few spots across North America that were not considered part of their range, but pretty much you could find them everywhere, even up into Greenland. And actually, I believe that Greenland is the only place in the world where the wolf is back to its traditional numbers, the numbers that we historically look at. There are lots of wolves in Greenland. So good job to Greenland. They're doing that really well. Now, let's take a look at the silhouette again. So the wolf is in the howling position here. Is that in focus? Okay, that's in focus. This is typically how wolves do communicate with one another. Now, their breeding season depends on where they are, but they've got a pretty wide breeding range, January to March, and again, it depends. In the colder areas, it's going to be closer to March, in the warmer areas, closer to January. But this is how they communicate. But they travel in packs, and the pack of wolves, only the alphas are going to reproduce. So you have an alpha pair, and they will reproduce. They mate for life unless one of the pair dies, and then another one will step in as the alpha. And there's going to be some competition. There is some fighting going on. And that's what's going to determine which one is going to be the new alpha. Now, typically they're going to have 6 young. That's going to be an average. And the wolves live 5 to 13 to 15 years. So a good average for the age, or a good older wolf, would be about 10 years old. That's going to be a good average age for a wolf to reach. And around here, we do not have any wolves. The nearest population of wolves to Connecticut is in Quebec. And they do have populations up there. Canada does have a lot more wolves than we do in the U.S. And I believe that the protection on the wolf, though, even though it's off the endangered species list, there is a population of the Mexican wolf down near the Mexico border, which is still protected. And the wolves in Alaska have a different regulation on them from the wolves in the lower 48. So we'll have to look that up and find out if they were already taken off or if they are still on the endangered species list. So let's take a look at some questions here. It would be exciting to see a wolf on Wolf Rock in Mansfield. That would be cool to to see wolves. The last wolf, actually, I'm going to visit the den of the last wolf that Israel Putnam. There's a lot of legend around Israel Putnam's hunting of the last wolf, but most people believe that he was the one to kill the last known wolf in Connecticut. But that's in a state park, and I'm going to visit that state park and visit the wolf's den there. So, very excited to do that. All right, let's go back and look at the pelt, because now this is a Canadian wolf, and I believe the person that I got this from said it was a farm-raised wolf. I have never heard of farm-raising wolves. I've heard of farm-raising a lot of fur-bearing mammals that are used for coats and things, but perhaps in Canada it is legal to farm-raise wolves. But look at this coloring. Now the coloring again is going to range depending on where you find them on their range. So it ranges on their range. They can be white, up in the Arctic, to browns, grays, a cinnamon color. I've seen pictures of the cinnamon wolf. It's absolutely a beautiful looking wolf. And then almost pure black and darker browns. So they do have a wide range of colors that wolves can be found in across the country. This one was a very, very gray wolf. And if you look, now the ears on this one, there we go. This one's a little bit chewed up. So let's talk about predators. I talked a little bit about what they eat. What eats wolves? Actually, coyotes will hunt wolves. And coyotes are very clever. They have to be clever to hunt a wolf. They are not hunting a strong member of the pack. They are not hunting a wolf that is currently in a pack. They're going for a young that may be separated, or an old one that falls behind, something like that. And again, they're clever. They hunt in packs as well, and that's what it's going to take for a coyote to take a wolf. But also another predator on wolves will be other wolves. The packs will compete with one another, and if an alpha male dies, the incoming alpha may take out its offspring. But again, the number one predator on wolves, and probably the top predator of any of the animals, are people, either directly or indirectly. Directly it's hunting, but indirectly it's destroying their habitats, and we won't call that prey or preying on, but we do reduce the populations by changing or destroying habitats that animals are found in. So that may explain, and especially if it's a farm-raised wolf, they're going to all be together, and there's going to be some competition between members of the pack. When a pack takes down a prey item, the alphas eat their fill first. Other wolves will jump in and try and get their bits, but they eat in order of strength in the pack, which keeps the strong strong, and the weak, if they're too weak, are not going to be able to survive, especially if the pack is not getting a large prey item. All right, let's go back to the track for a second, because now I have talked about this. Let's get it in focus. I have talked about this during other programs, and drop my microphone there. Let's get the microphone back up here. Okay, so I have talked about the track during other programs. It's not focusing. How's that? And if you look, you can see the toenails of the wolf. And I will get one of the paws up here to show you as well. So those tracks are not able to be withdrawn like with cats. So when they walk, they are going to leave this track. Many of you that have dogs, I'm sure, recognize this track. Looks very similar to a dog track. Would be very difficult to tell a dog track from a wolf track. So if you see them, especially those large dogs that get, over 70 pounds, those tracks are going to be very similar. All right. And Judith asks if a wolf would attack a person. Typically, we are not within their prey. A hungry enough wolf pack with a person out strayed I just really don't see it happening. We're typically not that within their prey, so it is similar to a coyote. The track is very similar to a coyote. Going back to the will attack a person question, though, I think any animal, given certain circumstances, could be dangerous to a person. If we come between them and their offspring, the saying goes that if you come between a shrew and its offspring, it will attack a bear. Okay? Which tells you that you should not get between any mother animal and their young. Paw? Question mark. I think Carol's talking about the track being similar to the coyote track, and yes, it is very similar. Now, many of you that have dogs are going to know a lot about a wolf attack. They aren't typically going to use their paws to attack. They got jaws. And these jaws are fantastic for grasping. They go for the throat like many predators. So if you've watched those African lion videos or a leopard or even a cheetah, they go for the throat, and the wolf is no exception. They're smart. They're going to go, once they get a hold of that throat, that takes their prey down very quickly. But they hunt in a pack, and they're not going to be able to just run up to an elk with its big antlers and grab it by the throat. The elk's not going to let them do that. It's going to use its antlers to defend itself. So the wolves will attack, and they go for the legs, they go for the haunches, they nip and dash away. And when the animal gets tired, maybe weak from nips, then they can go in and do the final kill. A pack will actually chase a prey item, sometimes for miles. They get into this loping trot where they can just follow their prey. They get in and they nip at the hamstrings and try and slow the animal down. Very intelligent, like coyotes. They are clever, and they will hunt in packs. Many of you that have dogs, I'm sure you realize how smart your dog really is. And packs of dogs have been known to use the same techniques when they go out. If a pack of wild dogs get together, or even, and I've seen cases of this firsthand, dogs that are domestic, they live in houses, they go out at night, and once they get into that big pack, they start to hunt things. When I was in high school, we had a situation where a pack of domestic house dogs were hunting sheep at night. So they learn that hunting technique is not far from their genes. Because, that's another thing. Almost every dog species in the world is believed to have originated from wolves. So they used to think that there may be some coyote that have been domesticated over the years. Even some wild dogs, they believe, were from wolves that were domesticated and then wild again. So there's a dog species in Africa that is originated from wolves, and they believe domesticated by the indigenous people and then gone feral. And then the dingo in Australia also, they believe the same thing. It was domesticated and then gone feral. So, pack mentality, yes, that is the saying. The wolves and those dogs were getting the pack mentality. When they got together, they became very destructive. All right, do we have any other questions? I think I got most of them as we went. I do want to mention that wolves' range of their territory range. Now remember, they're a large pack, so that pack is going to have a pretty good size range. And their range can be 50 to 1,000 miles. Imagine that. 50 to 1,000 miles. The largest that research found, it was a pack that had a 1,300 square mile range. 1,300 square miles. Think about that. That's a huge area that a wolf pack is covering as part of their range. Now, those ranges will overlap. With a range that big. Obviously, they're not going to defend the range on a day-to-day basis. But those packs are going to be territorial. They are going to establish and mark their territory, and they will try and drive off other wolf packs out of their range. Is it true the wolves follow the oldest among them when migrating? So they're going to follow the alpha, which tends to be the oldest, the alpha pair, which tends to be the oldest in the pack, but not always. Sometimes, a younger one, when that old one gets too old, they may not be able to keep up with the pack anymore, and then the next alpha is going to step in. They do not, technically, they don't migrate. So you could call it migrating through the range. With 1,000 square mile range, they're going to move through the range, but because they're not leaving one area, they spend an area in the summer in one place and the winter in another. They're not really migrating back and forth between their two. They're just circling their range. So technically, wolves are not considered migratory, although I would say they migrate around their range in a given year, because they may not get back to that point for a year or maybe more. All right, any other questions? Let's see if I missed any right there. All right. So again, I want to let you know we're going to continue doing these programs Tuesday through Friday at 11 on Facebook Live. If you're not seeing this live, you can still question or comment. You can send us a comment on Facebook through our Facebook, or go to the website, meigspointnaturecenter.org. You can comment there as well. We will try and answer them. We have lots of messages coming in, so I have a group of volunteers that are helping sort through them, and I don't see all of them. They answer a lot of the questions that they're able to. If it's a tough question, then it gets to me and I get to answer it. So I love to have questions, because generally that means that I'm going to learn something new if you guys have a new and different question. So please keep that up. Again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can visit that and see all of these videos. They're all up on YouTube pretty quickly, a day or two after the program is live. And it looks like, do we have a comment here? Truth to the tales about wolves cuddling with warming and saving lives of weak humans in a blizzard. So there are many, many legends of children raised by wolves. So many that some of them have to be true. So, and actually, I believe there are a couple of cases in India where it is absolutely confirmed. So I would say, yes, I wouldn't say an adult. I would say children more likely to be cuddled and protected by wolves. Should put the Facebook Live, good idea. We will put our Facebook Live information. I believe it was up on a poster when we first closed, but those things have been changed around. So yes, we'll make sure that our Facebook Live information is on the front door of the Nature Center. All right, so thank you all for tuning in. I'm really excited to continue to do these programs. I'm having a great time doing them. And I promise you that even if the Nature Center opens tomorrow or whenever it opens, I'm going to keep doing Facebook Live. We've got too much of a following, and I enjoy this. It's a great outreach to people outside of Connecticut or farther away in Connecticut from the Meigs Point Nature Center. So we'll continue to do these programs, and hopefully you're learning something every day. Thank you again. This is Ranger Russ signing off.